All right, everybody, we are in the studio today with two stellar bands to wrap up our show. The Legend of Bigfoot and Midnight Salvage Company, and they are putting on a show on April 9th, which is a Friday, at New Frontier in Tacoma. It's only $5, Joe.
Oh, dang.
3 bands.
Can I borrow 5?
I'll cover you on the way in.
All right,
hey, with our status, I think we're on the list.
All right.
Anyway, doors open at 8, and the 3 bands are Legend of Bigfoot, Midnight Salvage Company, and Valis. We want to welcome in Jason and Mike from the Legend of Bigfoot. How you guys doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. And let's talk about the Legend of Bigfoot for a moment. You guys have been around since about the spring of '09, and have you primarily played the Tacoma area? What are the venues you guys have been playing?
We've played about every venue in Tacoma you could think of. Java Jive, Jazz Bones, New Frontier, Hell's Kitchen. The main ones, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Viaduct, too. And we played Seattle once, played at the Soto, and Bremerton twice.
And are you and now you guys are working on a brand new CD? And is there a date or a time that's supposed to be coming out?
I would say soon. A bit of vagueness
Will
there.
they be available at this show?
They will not be available, but we should have our demo completed soon, and that will be. I mean, we might have some demos to hand out at the show, but it should be done shortly after that.
Yeah, well, let's talk about some of your influences. Now, listening to your music, it's, I mean, a guy like me, I'm in my 40s, and I grew up on Floyd, The Doors, and a lot of that classic rock sound. And we were talking earlier about the Black Crowes and stuff. Now, tell us about your influences not just your personal influences, but when you lay your music down and then you listen back, anything coming to mind? You see your influences coming through?
Wow, good question.
What do you see, Jason?
What do I hear?
No, what do you see when you listen? Or what do you
because I
taste
see
when you
lots
smell?
of things.
Yeah, I mean,
Can you taste the smell?
That's right.
I mean, I probably hear some things that nobody hears just because I know I'm so influenced by Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
I hear some Ace Frehley.
Right.
But that's just me. Probably nobody else would. Zeppelin.
Yeah.
But like you said, Pink Floyd, the Crows, definitely, without a doubt.
Right.
Rich Robinson was a huge guitar influence.
Rich Robinson,
Yeah, without a
the
doubt.
guitar brother of Chris and Rich.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, who do you guys, when you're in your own time and you're just hanging out at home, who are you listening to?
The bands that I just mentioned, and
Anybody that would surprise us? You guys like, like a guilty pleasure, somebody you're like that would shock all of us.
Yeah, I really like the Monkees. I really like, no, seriously, I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
And Frank Sinatra. A lot of stuff in the '50s.
Good
actually.
classic stuff.
Yes.
It's good music, really. I mean, good songwriting. I mean, there's some even newer bands that. I mean, I think they have pretty good songs, and they're not necessarily heavy rock bands or anything. And I'm a huge fan of classic rock, as you can probably tell without us sounding directly like a classic rock band. But like you said, the Floyd, the Doors. Growing up in the 90s, I love a lot of the great Seattle bands and the Seattle scene. I think that was a special time for people who were here and a good time for music. And I mean, there's always good music going on, more or less, and sometimes it passes you by, and sometimes you are there to hear it. And I was lucky enough to hear some of that good stuff going on in the '90s. So,
well, now being a South Sound band, and that's one of the primary reasons we're here is to promote and push the South Sound across this fine state of ours and across the USA, because we have a lot of talent here. How are you experiencing the scene here in the South Sound? Do you see it as up and coming, or is it leveled off, or do you see room for growth? What is your take on playing venues and the other bands that are around and the things you're hearing from the club owners? What's the scene like?
Wow, another good question.
well, the scene's pretty good. I mean, I personally think the scene can always get better. I mean,
But people are coming out?
yeah, I mean, there's a fair amount of people out. There's a lot of good bands in Tacoma. There's a lot of fans for music in Tacoma too, and the surrounding areas. But It's definitely up and coming, but the bands could keep working harder at their crafts, and the people could come out and support the bands more, and that wouldn't hurt anybody.
I've got to ask you guys, you've got a great name, and that's always a big part of a band's identity, is coming up with a name. How did that come about? Was it democratic, or was it kind of dictatorial like Bon Jovi? Where the rest of the guys said, I don't know.
It was
Actually,
it was democratic between us two. The other guys didn't really have a say.
well, his name's actually Jason Bigfoot. So.
All right.
Yeah, definitely democratic.
No, basically the name is, I was in another local band named the Sons of Ivan, and that band was directly named from two of our bandmates in that band, Lino and Ray Lon, after the Ivan gorilla that lived at the BNI.
Yes.
And as many people know, they've went and saw Ivan, and I used to go see him as a kid, and it was kind of a trip,
Yeah.
But anyway, it was an awesome name, and we had so many people come up and identify with seeing Ivan and remembering Ivan, and the name linked to the South Sound. So when we came up with the Legend of Bigfoot, I was searching for trying to find a name that people could identify with, kind of in the Northwest, but even bigger than Ivan. And as Jason put it, there's no really bigger legend than
No.
Bigfoot in the Northwest.
Besides,
And all over.
Besides probably Jimi Hendrix.
Yes.
Well, but he's not a legend. He's a fact.
Well, okay, yeah, if you want to look
A
at
fact of a legend.
Bigfoot's not a fact.
Well, let's.
I think he's a
Speaking of
fact.
Ivan, though, I was always hoping he was going to get loose and go on a rampage through the store. It just,
Well, speaking of
get
Ivan,
even with
has
everybody.
anybody been to
Get
the
even.
BNI lately? I mean, what a shame. That
Oh,
place
it's-
is just back in the
It's a
day.
shell.
That place was the place to be,
Yeah.
especially for a kid on like a Saturday
It
Yeah.
was
or
awesome.
a Sunday. They had like the fishing ponds in the parking lot, and they had the arcade. And Ivan was it was great. And now I'm afraid to even go in the parking lot.
You can get really good lingerie there. And
and you can get those really special, weird focused pictures that.
and also like cheap leather stitching and belts and
Yeah, and
boots.
stolen radios.
Nice.
All right, well, let's listen to a track from The Legend of Bigfoot. And this hasn't been heard before, right? This is pretty brand new.
Only at our shows.
Only at your shows. And we're going to play it right here. We're
A
going to play
Northwest Convergence Zone exclusive.
Yeah, we're going to play the
World
entire
premiere.
thing.
Indeed.
This is titled Underwater Man. Our guest, The Legends of Bigfoot.
Over the sea, they say so.